Welcome to the Enhancement Talent Podcast.
Any man with two hands has a fighting chance.
You're only half the man that I am, and I have half the brain that you do.
What?
You are a sniveling little suck-up sellout full of suffering succotash, son.
What?
I'm not burning with you.
Give me a hell yeah.
We are back and better than ever. Welcome to the Enhancement Talent Podcast, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. We appreciate you stopping by. I am your host, Brock Fluger, and I'm joined by Chris Kirby.
Wow, that's the most drawn-out intro we've ever had.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to put, like, the Greg Hamilton on it one day.
Oh, God.
The best
Can I be the best
in
in
the
the world?
world.
Since you're Greg Hamilton, I'd be the best in the world.
What you are the best at is yet to be determined.
Exactly, but I'm still the best.
Everybody is the best at something.
I'm the best mattress tester.
I can't argue with that. All right, we have a Fyter Fest to review because the WWE stuff has been so uninspiring that we've like officially turned into an AEW podcast. I feel like.
Well, I mean, we'll still cover the pay-per-views,
Yeah,
but I don't think there's a point to cover the weekly crap.
yeah,
When it's the same stuff every week. You're complaining about this, I'm complaining about everything.
yeah. I did do a solo review of the Stomping Ground show.
Which I was surprised. I thought we were going to get together for it. And you said you're going to do one. Like, all right.
I didn't even figure you wanted to watch it.
Well, I didn't want to watch it, but I figured we were going to do a show on it, so I forced myself to sit through that pain and punishment.
Skim through.
That's not the point.
But, yeah, I don't know. I want to start trying to get more extra stuff on the YouTube channel.
AEW is a lot better than WWE. Hit-wise.
Yeah, that's been proven. As far as among the people that are looking for podcasts, I believe that to be true right now.
We've only done, one AEW podcast, and it blew up compared to all the WWE ones we've done.
Yeah, it was our most listened to show.
Yeah.
Which is a low bar to step over, but
it's been almost a year, and we do one show with a different company, and it blows that year out of the water.
Yeah. Yep. And
Crazy, it's been almost a year. Next month will be a year.
yeah, in August.
Yeah.
That's something.
Wow.
We'll have to do an anniversary or something.
Yeah. Hopefully, hey, that'd be a good time for All In, All Out,
All
or
out.
All Chicago show.
It's right around that time. We started like late August, I
Yeah.
think. But nonetheless, AEW Fyter Fest. I thought that the show was a mixed bag. It was not Double or Nothing.
No. Far from it.
And that's not a knock because Double or Nothing, as you said in the review we did for that it was one of the best pay-per-views we've seen in the last 10 years from any promotion.
Yeah, and I think it was just great because it was a new show from a new promotion with new wrestlers.
Yeah, everything was fresh.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had Cody, but the storylines were fresh. The
Yeah.
people were fresh. The moves were fresh. I mean, this continued it to some extent. I mean, with some of the matches, they were just so extravagant. Move-wise,
Yeah.
it was just crazy.
Yeah, and that's definitely more of the indie sort of style.
I'm liking it. I've never watched the indies, really.
Yeah.
So I'm liking it.
I have, like, sparingly, but not enough to really know everybody. Like, most of these guys are still new to me, and I think it's more fun that way, honestly.
It is. I mean, it kind of, you don't know really who to back yet. I mean, because they're a heel don't mean you can't back them.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a favorite heel.
Yeah.
But
Like Baron Corbin.
I said favorite heel. That's Vince McMahon's favorite heel.
That's true.
But, everyone's so new except for the regulars that we know, like the Rhodes,
Yeah.
Omega, which we kind of know.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, it's really fresh faces. And I like it.
Yeah, so this show started with what they're referring to as not the pre-show, but the buy-in show.
Yeah, which I think is kind of cool wording.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the deal with the models was.
I'm not sure. I caught it later on when they removed the models and brought the mannequins out. It was something to do with, the budget's been slashed already.
Yeah, because they did some like goofy segment that like Kenny Omega spent like the entire budget on his wardrobe.
Yeah.
So they had to cut costs by getting rid of
Two of the models.
But
I still don't understand what they were there for.
Yeah, I don't either. They were just there standing.
And they didn't last, but once the mannequins came out, then they all left.
Yeah. And I will say this much, and it's different with this show because this show streamed free on Bleacher Report Live.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Oh my
so
God.
the show was free as opposed to Double or Nothing was a $50 pay-per-view.
Well, that's kind of cool if they do like we just talked about beforehand, a B show, and it's free.
Yeah.
Instead of charging $50 for a $10 show,
Right.
just give it to the people, get them interested in the product.
Yeah, it's definitely a smart business move on that point.
Well, we have another pay-per-view in 2 weeks, so.
Yeah, but some of the main issues from this show came from this buy-in show for me.
Okay.
And I feel like with part of the pre-show is like you're on a normal sense, on a normal pay-per-view, you would give the pre-show to everyone for free, and your goal is to get them to buy the pay-per-view based on the pre-show.
Yeah.
This doesn't follow that same format since it was a free show, but if it did, this was not a good note for that.
Well, you're noting that normal pay-per-view, well, the only normal pay-per-view you know of is WWE.
Right.
So, do you use that as a format of what's normal? Or you just go, well, that's what they do, this is what we're doing?
I'm just thinking, like, from a business sense. Like,
Okay.
if you give the pre-show for free, then I would think that your goal with that is to get people to buy the show at the last minute.
Okay, I would agree. I mean, not with this show, but...
Not with this one, but either way, for one, it started off with what was one of my favorite matches of the night in this triple threat tag match. The Private Party versus SoCal Uncensored versus the Best Friends.
See, we didn't see Private Party at Double or Nothing.
No, we did not. And I thought they absolutely stole this match.
Dude, I loved it.
I was a big fan of them.
I became a fan throughout that match.
Yeah, I'm definitely... I was hoping they would win, and they did so many great near falls in that match for them that were really good.
And the haircut on that dude.
Yeah.
Just cool looking. I mean, different.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Dennis Rodman. Don't know why.
Right. The blonde.
Yeah, the blonde, when you got the mohawks, the reverse mohawk down the middle.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just reminded me of something Dennis Rodman might do back in the day.
Yeah. So it wasn't really pushed hard, but on commentary they said that the winner of this match gets a first round bye on the opening tag team tournaments, which they're going to be doing on the first TV shows. Are going to be largely focused around a tag team tournament to crown the first tag team champions. And so the winner of this match is going to get a first round bye, which I thought could have been made a bigger deal out of than just a note on commentary.
But, I mean, it's hard to get excited about it when it's still several months away.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see why they wouldn't push it too hard. Because, by the time it comes around, people are going to forget anyway.
That's true. But nonetheless, it's a pretty big stakes if you think of it. Like in the NFL, teams are playing all year to try to get a first round bye in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so this is sort of like that. You get and
good analogy.
I love a good tournament. Yeah. I feel like that is something that WWE is missing.
They used to have a good King of the Ring tournament back in the day. It used to be awesome, and then once like Wade Barrett won, it just turned to a joke.
Yeah,
and
that Then it was just an excuse to put a crown on someone.
Yeah, they didn't even do it like a pay-per-view style after that. It was just on TV.
Yeah.
But,
and you think back, like, that's how Steve Austin got Austin 316, was in that King of the Ring tournament.
Yeah.
So many others.
A lot of good stuff happened in those King of the Ring tournaments.
Yeah.
A lot of good matches, but we'll never see it again.
Because it's such an easy way to tell a story, is that you have a tournament, you have multiple matches, and whoever wins gets a prize.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
And you do it all at the same night. You don't sit there and stretch it out for 3 or 4 weeks. You do the whole tournament at one night.
Yeah.
Like they used to.
I like it. I like both ways, though. I like a good, like, storyline tournament that can take place over several weeks.
Well, yeah, depending on how they want to do it.
Especially if it's just, like, on TV, and then you have the finals at a pay-per-view.
And that would be fine, too.
Which I assume is what they're probably going to do with the tag team tournament, since they only have they have 2 hours of TV each week, and the first several TV shows seem to be like they're going to be focused just around those tag team tournament matches.
I hope they don't focus too much on that and forget all the singles competitors.
Yeah,
because otherwise you're ruining singles wrestling in AEW.
I think 1 or 2 matches each week.
I'd say 2 at the very most.
Yeah.
Any more than that, you're going to saturate it and people are going to start tuning out.
If you put a 15 or 20-minute time limit on it.
20-minute time limit for each one, and don't do them back to back.
Yeah.
Start, first of the hour, and then first of the second hour.
Right. And so, all that being said, with this match, Private Party are a ball of fire early on. They had a lot of really fun high-flying stuff and just all sorts of action. And then after that, it starts breaking down, and I had no idea who the legal guys were, and it just turned into a bunch of big moves, which, as you mentioned, is something to happen in these sorts of matches.
Yeah, there was a lot of big moves, especially in this match.
Yeah, but once we got into the settling in and all the near falls they did for the Private Party, they did the shooting star press by Mark Henn, I believe his name was. I don't remember what the other dude's name was.
I don't either.
I know Mark Henn. But
okay.
Later, the really good near fall that got me was that they have Christopher Daniels crouched up on the turnbuckle, and Mark Henn goes up and he looks for the superplex. Chuck Taylor comes in and he Germans Mark Henn off the top, but Mark Henn lands on his feet, and then he takes out Taylor with a knee, and then he Hurricane Rana's Daniels off of the top rope into a cutter from his teammates.
I thought that was awesome.
It might have been a springboard cutter, too.
It might have been.
I'm not entirely sure.
They did so many cutters in that match.
Yeah.
But it was still cool.
Yeah. Fun stuff. And that was a near fall. It gets broken up at the last second.
I hope KO's watching. Take some notes on his stunner.
Oh, yeah. Then the best friends end up winning with an assisted pile driver thing, is what I called it.
Yeah. Interesting looking.
Yeah.
Looks painful.
I've seen like a variation of that move. I think it's like what the Bucks do.
Okay.
A bit. And there was another one sort of similar to that later. So the best friends, Chuck Taylor and Trent Beretta, they will get the bye in the tournament. And then after that, we get the follow-up on the angle that we had no idea what it was on the last show. What they're being called as the Dark Order pops up on the screen.
Little masked minions.
They then turn the lights off, which
I've seen them out of time.
A long time. And then the minions come out, and I mean, there's so many guys there. It takes a while.
Well, there was there was 2 on each side, except on the hard cam side, there was nobody.
Mm.
And yet the commentators are going, well, they have nowhere to go. Well, you have a whole side with nobody right there. Jump out and run.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they didn't really show it that
I didn't notice it.
Yeah, they made sure not to show it too much.
Mm-hmm.
but there was nobody on that hard cam side.
Yeah, so they quote-unquote surround the ring, and then the lights go out, and they disappear.
And
So
again, in an absurdly long darkness.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long to climb under a ring.
I don't really see why, like, the gimmick with the lights turning out. I just feel like it's just so overdone.
Yeah.
Like,
well, WWE does it all the time.
Yeah.
The Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, whoever else. And they're just copying and pasting.
Yeah, and it's just like, it's meant to seem like, I don't know if it's what they want here, that they want it to seem like a supernatural thing.
Well, it may not be what they want, but it's what's perceived.
But really, all it seems like to me is like they're going up to the production, just like, hey, can you like turn the lights off at this time? Just like slide them $50 or something. Yeah, that not.
I'm not too big on this Dark Order crap.
Yeah,
it almost reminds me of a generic Nexus. Just the way they're coming out.
Kind of.
And last time we saw them, they pounded people and beat them down.
It actually kind of reminds me. I don't know if you know this storyline from TNA, the Aces and Eights.
I've heard of them.
Well, essentially what it was a biker gang, and like they all wore like masks so that you couldn't tell who they were. Okay. And it went on over like 6 months.
Well, they had leather biker vests. They had Aces and Eights on the back, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I did see them at some point.
Yeah. So that's kind of what this reminds me of a bit.
Okay. I didn't understand it. I didn't think it needed to happen.
Yeah.
Especially when they didn't do anything.
I'll give it that it's trying to build another sort of storyline going into the tag team tournament.
But you've got like 8 people out there. Who's the tag team? Are all 8 of them going to be the champion?
I don't know. That, like, there's the one. Is it just the one? There's two.
There's 2 leaders.
2 big guys, and they were what used to be the Super Smash Bros. I understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
because they had to change their name due to Nintendo.
Yeah, I learned that on the last show when we didn't know who they were, so I had to Google it.
Yeah, and then it was a couple weeks ago I saw they had to change their name.
Yeah. And that's, like, at the time, like, when they debuted, they didn't call them anything.
No.
They were just there.
Yeah.
So, at least they have a name.
And, I mean, Dark Order, okay, it's a different name. It's odd. But it seems like something the Undertaker would use.
Yeah.
Or even Bray Wyatt. Especially now with his new gimmick. But
yeah.
I don't know, it just didn't seem fitting for what they had.
We'll see how it goes going forward. I'm not enthused with it early on, but we'll see. Okay, so this is where this pre-show or buy-in show just took an absolute turn. They do this damn librarian thing. Yes. And I don't even think we covered it on the Double or Nothing show because I just didn't note it. But these same 2 people just shushed each other over and over.
Even the audience was saying your gimmick sucks.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Now, if I remember correctly, the way, like, this started was just, like, I don't know, it might have been Cody, or, like, the AEW Twitter, like, months ago just tweeted out that they're taking on auditions for a character called the Librarian. And to send in, like, vignettes for a chance to get hired by AEW. And that was all it was. It was just, this is the character, it's named the Librarian. It's up to you what you do with it from there. Send in a promo.
Why not just bring back Dr. Isaac Yankem? It makes as much sense as a librarian.
Or the Repo Man, or
the Repo Man was fun to watch back in the day.
or any of those other guys that just had other full-time jobs and they wrestled in their spare time.
Yeah.
What was the Duke the Dumpster?
Duke the Dumpster.
Yeah, there you go. So in that same cloth.
Yeah, exactly.
So a mannequin got decapitated in the making of this librarian segments.
Yeah. Poor mannequin.
But that was about the only good thing that happened. My notes just say this is AIDS. And
This is AIDS?
yeah, this is AIDS.
Oh, God.
Was my notes. Because the last time they were shushing each other, then this time the one comes out and she's shushing the crowd, and then there's the other guy who's hiding under
The tent?
the
Some
tent.
sort?
Yeah, whatever.
And it was sitting out there from the beginning.
Yeah, I don't even know what it was for.
I don't either.
But yeah, then he's shushing, but then I guess they're sort of a team, but they're like a begrudging team.
I don't even know, dude. It's pathetic.
Yeah,
It
so
really was. It was a waste of valuable time on a 2.5 hour pay-per-view.
yeah, and they cut a promo and they diss the whole video game concept of this pay-per-view and talk about reading books instead.
Yeah.
That was another. The theme of this pay-per-view was, I guess, it was a video game influence sort of thing. Like, I don't know what exactly it was. Like,
Oh, I have no idea.
I think there was some sort of tie-in with the show and like some video game convention or something.
Oh, okay. Now you know that's what's going to be the next thing. AEW on PS4 or PS5.
I'm anticipating it because
Maybe not this year, but maybe for next year in
Like-
time for when WWE 2K45 comes out.
The WWE 2K series is just been really bland to me.
Now, I've heard this newest one was really good.
The story mode was
Yeah.
very improved. It's just that there's still just like there's not enough depth to
Gotcha.
it. Like back in like when I was playing like SmackDown versus Raw like 2007, like there was more options
Okay.
of what to do.
It seems like they're working more on graphics than options.
Yeah, graphics and the gameplay is smooth and all that. It's just lacking depth.
But if you have no depth, the gameplay's not going to be shit.
Yeah, because you can only play against a computer and AI so many times.
Yeah. But being how AEW is a new company, they could come out and they could really change the way video games are done with their first one.
Yeah, definitely. So, Ali, is that how you pronounce it? Ali? Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. I want to say like Ali, like
Oh.
the former Mustafa.
Oh, no. This is Ali's sister.
Yeah, she interrupts for her match with Leva Bates, the female librarian, and Brandy Rhodes is shown watching this on TV. And did you notice how she's watching this TV? Did you catch this part?
It looked like everybody else.
Well, no. She looked like a normal person watching TV, as opposed to a wrestler watching it from a 90-degree angle.
Oh.
She must have skipped that class in her training.
They're not practicing that stuff in AEW.
Yeah, so she must be new to this, is what I wrote. This match felt like it went way longer than it had to.
Yes.
The finish comes with the male librarian on the outside trying to help Ali. He throws a book at, or not trying to help Ali, trying to help, Leva Bates.
Yeah.
So he throws the book at Ali, but it's just like he tosses it to her. So it's not like he's throwing it at her to hurt her. He's just throwing it to like distract her for a second.
Yeah.
But the Leva Bates did not take advantage of this, and instead Ali just threw it into Leva Bates' arms, and that distraction hits her with the super kick and pins her. A super kick was the winning move here.
Better than a roll-up.
Just no, I'm just saying keep that in mind with the Young Bucks match later.
Oh.
that this match a super kick was good enough to finish it.
Yeah, well, I mean, come on, look at it. I could see a super kick being a finisher, but as we'll see later, it just doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah. So And this is where we go from bad to worse on this. And after this match, it will be a more positive review. We have Michael Nakazawa versus Alex Jabali. Now, I didn't know this at the time until, like, at some point during the match that Alex Jabali is not a wrestler. He's some sort of video game guy.
Okay.
Like a CEO or something.
What the hell is he doing in a wrestling ring?
Yeah, so this was like a quote-unquote celebrity match, I guess.
Well, that should be on the pre-show. Come on.
You said it should be on the pre-show?
Yeah.
Well, it is. This was the last match of the pre-show.
Well, not like on the televised pre-show. It should be like a dark match.
It should just not be on at all. If you ask
Or
me.
that. They should do it next week.
Yeah, so, and this is a hardcore match. Which I felt like kind of diluted the main event of the show to make this match a hardcore match.
Well, not just the main event, but the Moxley match. Oh,
that was the main event, yeah.
I was thinking Rhodes was.
Right. So I don't even think we talked about Nakazawa in the Double or Nothing show either, because he did the same stupid baby oil spot in the Battle Royal. And you know, it's like
we did mention his name because I remember writing it down.
Okay, but the whole gimmick is that someone gets him in a waist lock, he pours baby oil on himself, and then slips out.
Now, back in the day, they used to come out baby oiled.
Yeah, so they still do that.
But now, you're allowed to bring in an illegal substance into the ring and into the match and use it.
Well, this was a hardcore match, to be fair.
Okay, to be fair, this one, yes. But last time?
Well, it was a battle royal.
I guess that don't matter either. But still,
Jimmy Havoc had a staple gun in the last one.
That's true. Damn cigarette burner on your forehead.
Yeah.
But still, come on, baby oil is stupid.
No, I totally agree that this was idiotic. And just, like, this is stuff that belongs on the indies. Like, and that's the big problem for AEW, is that they're crossing the bridge from being an indie show to trying to become a household name and a major player. And if you put as Jim Cornette would say, this was outlaw wrestling.
He wasn't too happy with this show.
No. Well, he wasn't particularly happy with this match.
Yeah, well, I just read he wasn't really happy with much of the show.
Well, Jim,
but he's a heel, and that's what to me, I thought he was giving like a heel interview.
No, it's just what Jim Cornette is. Like, Jim Cornette is the oldest of old school, and I respect everything that he says, and he has a lot of very good points. Like, when he did the Double or Nothing review, like, he brought up a lot of stuff that I wouldn't have even thought of.
Oh, okay.
Like, with the Battle Royal, he hated that because mostly, like, one of his biggest gripes was the dude with no legs.
Yeah.
Because his whole point was that you're telling us that the winner of this match is going to have a match for your world title, and you have someone with no legs in that match.
What would happen if Lieutenant Dan had to go in a ladder match? I mean, he'd be screwed.
Yeah.
He might as well forfeit.
Yeah, so I always like listening to Cornette, even if I don't always agree with him, but he's good to listen to. But this, overall, was an embarrassing match. Nakazawa and after the baby oil thing, they even slipped on the baby oil in the ring, and the ref did a little slip and slide.
Yeah.
Yeah. They did all sorts of goofy stuff, like going into a kiddie pool.
Yeah. Stupid.
And
but that kind of served a purpose by washing off the baby oil. That's what I thought he threw him in there for, because that's when I started having technical difficulties.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, well, he's throwing him in the pool to get that baby oil off of him. But
yeah,
it didn't look that way.
I noted I noted at some point that Alex looks like he's been in wrestling school for one day, and it turns out that was probably true.
Well, come on, that's better than what we had at WrestleMania with our celebrity match.
Oh, yeah. The Dork 1 and Dork 2, as they were coined. The finish of this match sees Nakazawa pulling out a thong.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he was wearing this.
Well, I don't know how he was wearing it because, I mean, he'd have to take it wasn't on the outside of his shorts.
So. Well, I guess there is a way, like, I think the way he did it is, like, he was kind of wearing it, but he took one leg out first and then pulled it back in and then took the other leg out.
Okay.
Or, I don't know.
I'll take your word for it.
I don't know. It took him a long time to get this thing.
Okay.
So I figured that's what it was. But
so stupid, though.
He tries to strike Alex with this, but he ducks, and so Nakazawa hits the ref with it instead, and he blinds him. And after that, Jabali gets an inside cradle, which we're told is his finisher.
Huh?
Yeah,
an inside cradle is a finisher?
They called it something. I don't remember what they called it, but the commentary claims that this was his finisher.
Well, you did say he was in school for like one day.
That's half of the moves he knows.
Yeah, I mean, every move he knows is a finisher.
But because the referee is blinded by this thong, he cannot get there to count for the inside cradle.
Yeah,
this devastating.
Well,
finisher.
He started counting it at like 7 seconds because the audience was counting too, and I think that's what it looked like. That's what made the ref turn around because he noticed that the crowd was reacting.
Yeah. So after that, Nakazawa manages to get out of the pinning predicaments, and he just rolls into a regular sort of pin, but he has the thong on top of Jabali's face, blinding him.
Stupid.
Yeah, whoever allowed this to happen.
Cody.
All of them. Tony Khan.
Yeah, it is everybody.
All of them.
I just say Cody because he's like the main man.
He's more like the figurehead main guy, but like this is Tony Khan's company.
Yeah. But it's like NXT is Vince McMahon's company, but Triple H runs it.
Yeah, that's true.
This is like the same thing. It's Tony Khan's company, but Cody runs it with the Young Bucks.
We don't know as much about the process, and it from what they've said, it's like their creative team is a WhatsApp group with like 6 people in it.
That's awesome.
And yeah,
that's so cool.
The simplicity of that, as opposed to the 147 writers.
Yeah, that show
that WWE has.
Well, they don't have that many more because they keep quitting.
They get replaced before they even quit.
Yeah, they've got so many replacements waiting in the
like
pen.
The 147 they have now were probably a different 147 a month ago.
Probably.
Just
I want to know how many quit the same day they get hired. They start.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting
I'd like to know because there's so many stories on how bad creative is for the other company.
Yeah.
Not AEW, but the other one.
My favorite one was the guy who quit over the Hall of Fame speech.
Oh,
because Bret Hart, during the induction, said Vince McMahon's name too many times.
Yeah, and you weren't supposed to say it at all.
Which I guess Vince McMahon doesn't like. And so then DX made a joke out of it.
Yeah.
And they just said Vince McMahon's name 1,000 times.
Yeah. You're not supposed to say Vince. Don't say Vince. Oh, we're not supposed to say Vince?
It's funny that they did that. And, like, at the time, no one had any idea what they were talking about until that story came out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see what the big deal is. So what? If they want to thank Vince McMahon, he hired him.
You're in the damn Hall of Fame. What? Like,
why would you not want to get thanked by them for putting them in the Hall of Fame?
It'd be like if you're being inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame, and they, if Tom Brady is being inducted, and they tell him, "Hey, don't say anything about Bill Belichick."
Yeah, you can't thank him.
You cannot thank your coach.
You can thank everybody else on the team but him.
Just madness.
Yeah, it's stupidity.
All right, so we get into the main show.
Oh yeah, I forgot we're doing a show here.
Yeah, we're doing an AEW show.
That's okay. That was the intermission break.
Yeah, that between the pre-show and the main show.
That's where they showed you all the videos of what
Yeah.
happened and what led up to this night.
Right. So we start off with Christopher Daniels coming out, and he's having his second match of the night, which was
Kind of weird.
confusing.
Yeah, it kind of threw me for a loop at first.
Yeah, I thought they were going to have another tag match, but I was like, oh, it's just Daniels. And his match is against Shima. I don't know if it's pronounced Shima or Sema, but
I
Shima.
think they said they call her Shima. I think.
And
I'm not sure.
he is one of the OWE guys, from what I understand.
And they even said he was from OWE.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool to announce that he's from somewhere else.
Yeah, and that's, of course, the Japanese promotion that they're partnered with that nobody even had heard of
Is
until
that Oriental Elite Wrestling?
Oriental Wrestling Entertainment.
OWE, that's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking OEW.
Yeah, so this match was fine, but I didn't really feel like this was the right match to open the show.
I didn't.
Like, if it were up to me, I would have had that three-way tag match open the main show.
Yeah.
And put this on the pre-show.
Yeah, I could go with that.
Because that three-way tag, I guess in a sense it opened the show, but
Well, in a way it didn't.
yeah.
Because half the people in the audience weren't there yet.
It seemed more like everyone that was there by the time the pre-show started.
Yeah, it was. It's not like WWE.
I would assume
pre-show,
that.
You just watch people still coming in.
Yeah, it's because these are more hardcore fans, I think.
I think you're right. I think this is going to be more for the hardcore fan than the casual fan.
Yeah. So it was a fine match. There wasn't a lot that I noted. It was well worked, as any Christopher Daniels match is going to be.
Yeah, I've been a fan of his for a long time.
Yeah, and as long as he's been doing it, he knows how to work. And it was a good match, but I didn't really feel like it was a way to open the show. But Shima ends up winning with a Meteora off the top rope.
Yeah, and it didn't even look that good.
No, it
Not
didn't
really.
look great.
I mean, considering the majority of his legs landed on the mat, he barely touched them maybe with his ankles on the shoulders.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Sasha Banks can do better than that. And she doesn't even wrestle anymore.
Sasha has a nice Meteora.
No, she does. That's what I'm saying. She can do it better.
Yeah. Okay, I thought you meant that sarcastic.
Oh, no. I mean, this serious. She can do better.
Yeah. It was different because Daniels was in a seated position.
Yeah.
As opposed to standing.
Yeah, it was a little different, but it didn't look as effective because of that.
Yeah, it looked more clunky.
Yeah. Definitely a pre-show match.
So after this, we get the women's triple threat match. It is Nyla Rose versus Riho and Yuka Sakazaki.
The Kabuki Warriors.
Yeah,
the AEW Kabukis.
The Kabuki Experience.
There you go. Kabuki Express.
Jeez. So, these were the two of the same girls we saw in the 6-woman tag match at the Double or Nothing show.
Yes.
And for us not knowing anything about all 6 of them, that was a fun match.
Yeah, it was.
They just beat the hell out of each other in that match, from what I remember.
Yeah.
And in this case, you had the 2 little girls in Riho and Yuka.
It was like watching Alexa Bliss and Mickie James go up against Nia Jax.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it's going to go.
Petite was the word that JR decided to use to describe these 2.
Well, hey, that's better than going, whoa, what a big problem they've got.
Well, the one was they said that Nia Jax was a heavy favorite.
Yeah, a heavy favorite.
Yeah. I remember
At
that
least
you took
JR is
issue
a
with
little
that.
more conscious about what he's saying.
So, this was about what you'd expect. Like, the two little ones try to take out the big one. They don't succeed on that early on, and there ends up being a double camel clutch from Nyla Rose,
Which looked cool. It did.
which it gets a rope break for some reason in a triple threat match. I noted.
I thought they escaped because that one was backing out.
No, one of them got to the ropes.
Oh, that's right. One got to the ropes, the other one got out.
Yeah, and
got the back.
and the ref called for a break
Yeah.
in a triple threat match.
Well, maybe the rules
So-
are different in AEW.
I guess they never explicitly said that was a no disqualification match, but
That,
I would argue that every triple threat match would
That's-
kind of have to be a no disqualification
well, that's
match.
because that's what WWE wants you to know. Wants you to think.
Yeah, it's like logically though, like
Why would it have to be a no disqualification match just because it's a triple threat?
because if someone gets disqualified, then you can't just like eliminate them, and then who do you give the win to?
Well, I mean, I guess they could. Okay, disqualification match ends. The win goes.
You lose
to,
and nobody else wins.
Yeah, I guess that means they have to have a singles match for once.
I guess they did not explicitly say that.
They really should, though, for people like us.
So this was just like the whole back and forth of Nyla versus these two.
Yeah, that's,
And-
once in a while, the two little ones would hit each other
Yeah.
just to kill time until Nyla Rose got back in the ring.
Yeah, once they got her down, they'd go after each other, but then she'd come back.
Yeah,
And it ends up with Nyla coming back, but then Riho pins Nyla with a roll-up.
yeah.
And yeah, this actually like upset me because on the last show, Nyla Rose's Thunder was completely stolen by Awesome Kong,
Yes.
which I thought was a poor booking decision then.
Yeah.
Not like you could have had Awesome Kong do something else. And especially if she wasn't even going to win the match anyway.
Or come back for the next show.
Yeah, so that kind of took Nyla's Thunder as the dominant force.
Yeah.
And now in this match, she gets rolled up by Riho. You do that too much, you fall under the Samoa Joe category, where he gets rolled up for the 15th time, and then he still has the shocked Pikachu face.
Yeah, every time. But it gets to the point where, just like WWE, we can call roll-ups. How many of those are going to be a night?
Yeah.
And we're already at 2.
Yeah, I guess.
And we're only 3 matches in.
Yeah. I'd like to forget that first one even existed.
Yeah, but you can't.
Then we get some fun stuff. We have a fatal 4-way. It is MJF versus Jungle Boy with Luchasaurus. He's
love that.
riding Luchasaurus to the ring.
I can't remember. Who was it?
A boy and his dinosaur.
Jungle Boy. Who was his dad? I can't remember.
Luke Perry. Right?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah. So, him, and
So I just couldn't remember while I was watching. I was like, who in the hell's son is he?
Luke Perry's son versus Jimmy Havoc versus Adam Hangman Adam Page.
They never even called him Adam. It was just Hangman Page. So they're going to pull a WWE and drop the name.
So the odd thing here I found was that they had Kip Sabian on commentary, and like he hardly spoke a word.
Yeah.
For one, and apparently the winner is going to face him at the next show, the Fight for the Fallen show.
Okay.
Which it just seems backwards because Adam Page right now is set to be in the inaugural World Championship match. So I don't really understand why he is competing to have a match with Kip Sabian.
Doesn't make sense. He's already in the match. So.
Like, you would think that Adam Page would be the one on commentary while these 4 guys fight to face him.
Yeah.
So then they can say, like, well, if he wins the championship, I beat him, so I should be first in line, or whatever you want to do there.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have made more sense. But nonetheless, and it was just weird. Like, they had Kip on commentary, but it was like they didn't really do anything to try to get anything over with him, like who he is or why they're fighting. Yeah, like he had a line at the beginning, and then like halfway through the match, or maybe like right before it ended, even like then they were like, it was like they just realized like, oh shit, he's still here. We should probably get him in on some of this.
And that's why they shouldn't put somebody on commentary that isn't familiar with it.
Yeah, and I feel like that's part of an experienced commentary team, is that they can make that transition.
And with
seamless.
JR there, and it still was so awkward, it was kind of
weird. And JR is in a different stage of his career.
Yes,
and I will not say that he is bad. Like he has his moments of good and bad.
Yeah,
it's just that he's older now, and he's not as quick-witted, I feel like.
No,
that he used to be. And maybe that comes with a comfortability that you can get over time.
Could be, because he was with Lawler for years on commentary.
Yeah, and
they developed a nice chemistry.
Yeah, they know what they're feeding to each other. They know what they can get out of each other. Yeah. And, JR can say something knowing, like, he's setting King up for something.
Yeah.
Like, with these guys, like, this wasn't even the same team from the first show.
No.
And the Alex Marvez guy was not there, which was a good thing.
No, but what's his name was?
Golden Boy? Like, they didn't give him a real name. His name was, like, Golden Boy or something.
No, the one masked dude.
Oh, Excalibur.
Yes.
Yeah. He was still there. And
but he was there last time.
Yeah, and he's excellent.
Yeah.
I really like Caliber. Getting into this match, though, there was just all sorts of, like, Jungle Boy really was the star of this one.
I think so.
Just flying around and just how damn small he is compared to everyone else, and flying around the ring. MJF, though, I forgot to mention the promo before the match, and it was I liked the layout of the show, because there wasn't a lot of long drawn out promos, and they had that, like, this was really like the only promo of the show, really.
Yeah.
And it was just MJF getting heat. And that was, he got heat off the video game stuff, and he told the crowd that he also used to be a big fan of video games, but then I lost my virginity, he said. So, and after that, they just showed the shot of this guy's face, and it just made me laugh.
Yeah.
Because his face was just like, he's right. So, fun match. Jungle Boy did some wild stuff.
Always.
Adam Page ends up pinning Jimmy Havoc with a Deadeye, and he will face Kip Sabian at the Fight for the Fallen show.
Still don't make sense. But okay.
Yeah. After this, we get Darby Allin, who I had never heard of going into this.
I hadn't either, and when he started coming out, I was like, okay, this is going to be a high-flying match. Quick-paced, fast action.
That it was not.
I was lied to in my head.
So then we get Cody with Brandy.
Yeah, with
Rhodes.
Yeah.
They got to work around that they can't call him Cody Rhodes.
It's his name, yeah, they can.
No, they can't.
Really?
And it's a WWE trademark, because technically Cody's name is Cody Reynolds.
Oh.
Because that was...
Oh, I thought he actually owned the trademark to Rhodes.
No.
Okay. Well, you'd think American Dream, Dusty would have, like, cemented that where they own the Rhodes.
Like, it should be that, and Cody's talked about it before, like, before he even started AEW, like, his whole thing was, like, I could ask them, but I'm just not going to.
Yeah. I do like how he goes by the American Nightmare.
Yeah.
Instead of the American Dream.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
It is.
So this match ended up being slow, and
painful to watch.
I thought this kind of came down, but by the end it was it got going. I didn't really get Darby Allin though.
He wasn't. He doesn't even look like a wrestler. I think I had a better shot than he did in there.
It was just weird. Like he came out with the body bag, and it just.
I mean, was it a body bag match? It didn't.
No,
look
and
like it.
Yeah, I was just confused by it all, and like there was not really much story to it, and I'm sure they've done stuff on like the YouTube shows that they do, but
if you have to make it accessible to everybody. People don't go on YouTube to watch wrestling that much.
Yeah,
not unless they're looking, specifically for something.
Yeah, and that's part of just not having TV yet.
Yeah, and I get
and
that.
So I can't give them too much flack for that.
No, but I can give them flack over the opponent and the way the match went. Because this match was stupid. It was all one-sided.
Yeah.
I mean, it was, let's pick this lightweight guy up and throw him halfway across the ring.
Yeah, Cody just beat the hell out of Darby Allin.
It was just pointless.
I disagree a little bit because I do feel like it helped elevate Darby if they have plans for him.
Oh, he got elevated all right.
Well, it got over that this guy can take a beating and keep fighting.
Yeah, he can take a beating. That's it.
Yeah, but he didn't lose. Is another big thing.
Okay.
So
I don't know. I didn't care for it just because it was all one-sided.
Yeah.
There was no match. It was just a beatdown.
Yeah, and I don't know, like something about like bringing out a body bag and then just getting your ass kicked for 20 minutes.
Yeah, and literally it was 20 minutes. They were short by a second.
Yes. So
and weren't they going to restart the match?
Yeah, I'll get into that.
Okay.
I
was having technical difficulties at that time too. So
okay,
I wasn't sure what was going on.
Yeah, your stream, you said that would freeze and then skip forward a bit.
Yeah, so I kind of missed a few things here and there.
Well, I hope what you didn't miss was the spots that Darby Allin did with. He has Cody on the apron.
Oh, the coffin drop.
Then he climbs to the top turnbuckle as if he's going to do a moonsault.
Which I thought.
But instead, he just jumps and drops. Yeah. It was kind of like Kofi's trust fall that he does.
Yeah, but they called it a coffin drop.
Yes.
Does that have anything to do with the body bag?
No, that could be. He would be in a body bag soon after this.
Yeah, that's true. I really thought that was the end of the match when he hit that apron like that.
Yeah, so he just trust falls right onto the apron,
to the edge of the apron.
Yeah, which they did say on commentary. It's the hardest part of the ring.
Yeah, and in
case you didn't know,
you know for a fact you've been in the ring.
Everybody knows because
they announce it. They make a point to say it.
Yeah, I feel like we're past the point where we need to say it.
Yeah, I don't think we do.
I think everybody knows that it's the hardest part of the ring.
At least in the other company, we all know.
Yeah,
this one's so new they might still want to stress it.
Maybe
these diehard fans just don't understand.
Yeah, I guess. I feel like it
is a given. Though.
It's kind of common sense, but I don't know. That's a nitpick thing.
Yeah,
because
it is.
That's sort of just like your instinctual reaction when that happens.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's the hardest part of the ring.
Like even when you're just watching it as a fan, like you just start thinking, all right, well, they're about to tell me that this is the hardest part of the ring. Sure enough, they did. But yeah, so he does the coffin drop. I would like to see this remixed with Tom Petty's Free Fallin'.
Oh god.
Mixed in with him slow motion dropping onto the apron. And
that just had to hurt. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hope he got a pay bump for that because he took a hell of a bump.
Yeah, so
it hurt my back watching it. After
all that, Cody is about to get the pin off of the Crossroads, and they continued to enforce the time limits, which we talked about on the last show, and this one had a 20-minute time limit.
Which is weird because most of the other matches had 30.
Yeah, I think it was the tag matches that had 30.
Well, I thought the other triple threat had
Maybe. Like, the only one
It might be because it was a triple threat.
Yeah, the only one I distinctly remember hearing 30 was the Young Bucks match.
Okay.
But I wasn't paying attention enough to realize it anywhere else. So, and at some point, they go from 20, and then Justin Roberts would announce there are 10 minutes remaining, and then at some point he just says there's 1 minute remaining, and then it was kind of like a shock a little bit because, like, even on commentary, Excalibur was like, did I hear that right? There's only 1 minute left?
Yeah.
And that's when Cody started scrambling to try to put this away. But he wasn't able to in a timely manner. He tries to get the Crossroads in, and then Darby would counter out. And then later, Cody gets the Crossroads in, and he's out, but Cody can't get the pin. And he gets there, and the ref gets to 2.5, and they timed it perfectly.
Oh, they did.
I will give them that.
It could not have been timed any better.
Because it was right at 2.5 that Justin Roberts was at 1.
What a way to save the guy who's never had wrestling training before.
So, yeah.
He was trained to take bumps.
He was trained to be a stunt double.
Yeah, that's it.
And, yeah, that's largely what this match was, but we'll see if they build Darby up, because this could be a good stepping stone for him if they use it right.
And, I mean, we got to reserve judgment, because there's no TV to build up to.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of reserve judgment until TV starts.
Yeah, it's hard to just do cold pay-per-view shows with, like, and the people, like, the diehards of this brand that watch every episode of Being the Elites.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is very rewarding for them, even though I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it all, like, comes full circle in that sense.
Possibly.
But so with them already having, like, they're used to just building to a pay-per-view with a 10-minute YouTube video, like, every week.
Yeah.
So now you give them 2 hours of television each week.
Imagine what they can do.
Yeah. So that's what I look forward to.
I know we talked beforehand off the air, how this wasn't as good as Double or Nothing.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, but one, it was also shorter. It was only 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
And, I mean, not counting the pre-show.
Yeah, the main show was rated
around it was like half the time that a normal pay-per-view is. So, I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment, most of my judgment,
yeah,
until TV starts and I can get a handle on how things are going to go.
Yeah, that's when you really get the sense of, like, what the direction is.
Are they going to start building these matches when TV starts, or are we supposed to pull a WWE and just ignore what happened in the past 6 months?
Yeah. So here's where we get to, like, I would say that this was probably the most noteworthy portion of this show.
One of them.
And I could not scroll through Twitter for the past 3 days without seeing this GIF over and over again.
Yeah.
It is plastered everywhere. Everyone has their opinion on it.
Yep. And
that comes when, out of nowhere, Shawn Spears comes into the ring.
A.K.A. Ty Dillinger.
The former FKA.
Well, FKA.
FKA Ty Dillinger, who comes in with a chair. And the whole thing, like, before this was Shawn Spears and Cody were made to be friends. And they are in real life. And how they built to this, though, was that what Cody said about Shawn Spears signing was that he essentially said that he's a good hand, which is a compliment and not a compliment.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what built up to this. So Shawn Spears comes in, and this is all the while Cody is trying to convince everyone to extend the time limit.
Yeah, he was trying to get the ref to extend the time limit, I think.
Yeah. But as he's trying to do that, he gets up, he turns around and sees Shawn Spears there, and Spears whacks Cody right in the head with this chair shot.
It was a solid hit.
Cody turns right into it, and he bashes him in the side of the head. Cody goes out like a light.
He did. I think he was out.
And he ended up bleeding. He needed 12 staples in his head.
I don't think they needed 12 staples. I think that's a load of bull crap.
Maybe. But
12 staples for that.
It was a big gash.
I'm not saying it wasn't a big gash, but that's a lot of fucking staples for one chair shot. I think they're just blowing it out of proportion a little.
Maybe, but...
Maybe 12 stitches.
Maybe that is what they said. I don't know.
Because staples, I can't see using 12.
Yeah, maybe they did say stitches. I don't remember. But either way, the gash that came from this, it was the whole back of his head, pretty much. And what they said after, and Tony Khan and the Young Bucks both talked about this, was that the chair was supposed to be gimmicked, but something went wrong. And the analogy Tony Khan made was one that I found interesting, because the analogy he made was that you can have the most safe airplane technology, but to have safe landings on an airplane and all that. But if there's pilot error, then it won't matter.
Okay.
So
obviously there was user error on the chair part.
Yeah, it's just like there's such little room for error, though, is the problem.
Yeah, and it's almost like they just didn't get enough. They needed like 2 extra seconds so he can get his hand up.
Yeah, and that was the biggest part, is that Cody turns around, he doesn't put his hands up, and he just gets whacked in the head with this chair.
Yeah, so I think it was, Cody wasn't maybe ready at the time, or...
I think this is exactly how Cody wanted it to look.
And that could be, too.
And
he could have talked to him and be like, hey, this is what I want to happen.
And if that's the case, I think Cody needs to get over some of the ego portions of this and just take into account the safety of things and as a leader, the message that you're sending by doing that.
Yeah.
And with what we know today about the long-term effects that concussions, which a chair shot to the head is bound to give you.
Yeah, especially unprotected. And
we know things now that we didn't know back in the 90s and the 2000s when this was allowed. Yeah. So I think that should not happen. And that's just me.
No, I understand wanting to make a good product and, get people talking, but when you're putting yourself in that kind of danger, and I don't mean high jumping off a top rope onto a mat. I mean, you're getting hit with a steel chair on top of your head or on the side of your head, unprotected of any kind, then you're just asking for it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're just asking for trouble.
And there's another side of this that I have that maybe it'll sound like I have a double standard here, but the point I want to make is that the post-show interviews that everyone did, and the Young Bucks, who I thought just came off so douchey that they just said, like, oh, well, you think it was an unprotected chair shots.
We're not stupid. We can see.
Yeah. But the whole thing was, like, if, like, it's already happened, just go with it at that point. Don't apologize for it.
What's there to apologize for?
Because, yeah, and that was the thing, is like, it took away the heat from it, to me. Because if, like, in the post-media interviews, like, the sentiment was just like, well, that wasn't what we were expecting, and Ty got out of hand. And you just play it up that Ty, like, went into business for himself.
Yeah, he went rogue.
Yeah, you just play that up instead of being apologetic.
That would have been better. I agree.
And then you sort of blur the lines of
Well, did they
real
do or
and
not?
work.
Yeah,
I would have liked that more.
it would have been better. Now, I'll admit I didn't watch the post interviews, but that would have been better.
And I love that they do the post interviews, and they're much more accommodating to the wrestling media that WWE shuns.
Mhm.
Like, WWE, the only media they like is the mainstream media.
Yeah.
They don't care about the actual wrestling websites that appeal to the wrestling fans.
The only ones that, there's only a couple, I would say, that even have sources in the WWE.
As far as,
like, not necessarily blogs, but, like, Meltzer.
Yeah.
People like him.
Yeah, there's a select few.
A select few that they'll talk to, but that's it.
Yeah, and even that's under the table, essentially.
Yeah, and they never give really direct answers. It's always vague, or this could happen, or that could happen.
Yeah, and that's different from doing interviews yourself.
Yeah.
Like sending talent to do interviews. And they do it with some guys like Sam Roberts and Rosenberg and all those guys, but it's more the people that will give them some sort of mainstream publicity.
Pretty much anybody on cage side seats. Anybody, like any wrestling outlet that they mention.
Right.
What WWE is looking for.
Yeah, but not like the Wrestling Observers and the Fightfuls. And
no.
Not the quote-unquote dirt sheets.
No.
Alright, so after that is when we get the commentary. Jesus, I'm so exhausted. I haven't slept all day. But
well, I hope not. You've been at work all day.
We're going to get through them. You know what I mean. But commentary, openly talking about CTE and all that.
Yeah.
And this is where it got weird because JR clearly was not expecting this.
No.
And he wasn't very informed because he's talking about CTE and he says that Cody should have to be tested for CTE.
And he should.
But the thing is, you can't test for CTE until you're dead.
Yeah.
So
you have to do what is it, like an impact test or something?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to bring up here. Is that I think it would be a nice touch if they have like an on-screen like concussion protocol, like you say that on commentary that he's going to undergo impact testing and go through the concussion protocol, the same sort of thing that the NFL has.
Yeah, well, same thing WWE has, like with Daniel Bryan. After every match, he has to go through it.
Yes.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing.
Very much.
Not just for him, but pretty much everybody should have to go through it. You take a hit to the head, you should have to go through it.
Yeah. And the thing with it, though, is like in situations of stopping a match, because one of them was Undertaker in the Brock Lesnar match was knowingly concussed, but nobody is going to stop that match.
Well, no.
But in a Daniel Bryan match, they stopped it because they thought that he might have a concussion.
Yeah.
So, like the NFL thing is like if a referee or a trainer or whoever thinks that a player might have a concussion, then they're obligated to take them out and have them undergo the full concussion protocol,
which is awesome.
Yeah, it's good that the progress has been made. So I just think that wrestling needs to have more protocol there altogether, because there's and it's tough to just stop a match, but.
Because you got to look at all the thousands of people in attendance that are happy watching that match, and you're going to stop it.
Yeah,
but it's about the safety of the wrestlers.
And in this case, it wasn't a match, and the angle was over as soon as it happened. But random thoughts.
What would you rather have? Would you rather have some chair shots to the head, or wrestlers that are able to compete week after week.
Yeah. And you can do chair shots to the head. Like, they're safe when you put your arms up.
Yeah, you've got to be protected.
And, like, if you think about it, like think about it logically. Like, I don't know in what real situation someone will come at you with a steel chair.
Don't piss off your office people.
but in the events that you see someone swinging a steel chair towards your head, are you going to stand there and just be like,
No, I'm going to put my arm up first.
you're going to at least put your hands up.
I don't know why you wouldn't just step aside.
Yeah, but if you're just thinking like in the split second
you at least put your hand up to protect yourself.
Yeah. All right. So we'll move on from that. Just a lot of stuff came from that. The chair shot heard round the world.
Yeah.
After this, we had the 6-man tag. It was Kenny and the Bucks against the Lucha Bros and Rey Fenix.
I actually missed most of this match.
Really?
Yeah.
That was part of the technical things?
Yeah, like almost all of it.
Well, the way I would describe it, it was almost exactly like the one they had at Double or Nothing, except this time there were 3 people on each team.
So I really didn't miss a whole lot. Good action, but...
Yeah, it was fun, but you would have complained about there being no damn rules. Because there were no damn rules in this match.
Well, I noticed the couple parts I did see, like everybody was in the ring at once.
Yeah, and that was the whole match.
Oh, yeah. See, I would have been nothing but bitching about it.
Yeah. So, and eventually they got it on track, I guess. But
I mean,
I just feel like you can just make it a tornado tag match.
You might as well. If it's an AEW, it's a tornado tag match.
And it's more the Young Bucks matches than anyone else. Like the triple threat tag had a lot of that.
Yeah.
But it was only at a brief portion in the middle, and then they got back to it. I felt like back on track.
Yeah,
and that I feel like that's acceptable if it breaks down at some point in the middle, and if you have everyone come into the ring and they all take each other out, but then after that you get back in your corners.
Yeah,
because like the ref can give you like that sort of leeway, like.
Well, they get a 10 count.
I don't want to end the match this way, so we can keep this going, but it needs to stop soon.
Yeah.
But yeah. Either way, it was a fun match. A lot of stuff.
And I'm guessing the Young Bucks and Omega won.
Kenny wins it with the one-winged angel. I believe he pinned Phoenix.
Well, I figured, those are the 3 top guys in the company. They're not going to lose.
Yeah.
Which is kind of stupid to have the 3 of the 4 top people in the company team up together, because we know what's going to happen. They're not going to take a loss on their second pay-per-view.
No, not yet, I wouldn't say. And especially because Omega already lost to Jericho at the last show. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's right there. It's a giveaway who is going to win. Especially when you get all 3 of them together.
Did the Young Bucks win? Yeah, they won the first match against the Lucha Bros too. So, yeah, and the Lucha Bros are a good team. It would have been nice for them to get
the Lucha House Party.
Yeah, but nothing like them.
No, but I mean, just 3 people coming in, they're all up in the ring.
But I think the Lucha Bros are only the Pentagon and Phoenix.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah, the other one was just an add-on.
Yeah.
But still, they're luchas.
They're all the same.
You holding that for later?
All right, so the main event of this show was Joey Janela versus John Moxley.
I don't know who the hell Joey Jello is, but...
If Joey Janela was in the Battle Royal in the last show, he was the one that took the choke slam through the table that broke that looked like it would have broke anyone's neck.
Yeah, gotcha.
And this was like deathmatch lights.
This made me think of the good old the good old days of WWE with extreme matches.
I'm curious, how familiar are you with like death matches? Like, have you seen a lot of the death matches that happen outside of WWE
No.
with like light tubes and all sorts of other stuff?
No.
Okay. Well, this was a lighter version of that.
Okay.
And like the insane death matches are it's a lot of damn light tubes and glass and all sorts of.
I watched Celebrity Deathmatch. Does that count?
Not quite.
Oh, okay.
But
I was able to watch pretty much all of this match.
okay. And those sorts of matches are where Jon Moxley made his name.
Okay.
And before WWE.
This isn't new to him.
No, and it's really how Joey Janela has made his name now, because I think like what I take away from this match is that, and maybe it'll change over time, but Janela is not like a great wrestler or a great worker or anything like that. He's just he's more of like a Mick Foley sort of esque that he's just going to hurt himself.
Okay, so he'll do anything you ask him as long as it involves pain.
Yeah, and
a good show.
I don't know. Maybe that's not fair to Mick Foley because
but I know what you mean.
Like I wouldn't call Mick essentially a great wrestler though either.
No,
like, he was a good storyteller and
great storyteller, great stunt man.
Yeah, then
take a bump like a mug.
But as far as technical wrestling,
no, C+ at best.
Yeah, and then got better at that throughout his career.
Well, yeah, but still a C+ wrestling, just off wrestling ability, C+.
Right, and that's what I feel like Janela sort of embodies at this point in his career. And so
nothing wrong with that.
The blend in this case of him and Jon Moxley was perfect. I wonder like what he'll do going forward though, because you can't just always do this.
No.
And that's another thing is when they're, and Tony Khan even talked about this too in the aftermath, is that we're not going to see anything even remotely close to this on TNT.
Oh, no, they couldn't.
Yeah, there's no way.
I mean, the blood alone, which wasn't much.
Yeah.
But with all the stuff that they used, how many thumbtacks do you think were on that mat? 2 bags, wasn't it? Or was it 3?
Yeah, they pulled out 2 bags.
2 bags, okay. And then the damn buttons, whatever the hell those were.
That was in a different match that I forgot to even mention.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, that was in the damn Nakazawa match.
Oh.
That they pulled out the buttons.
Oh.
Like the Lego sort of things.
Okay, wrong match.
Yeah. So the gimmick here was it was an unsanctioned lights out match.
Oh, the lights were on.
Well,
and there was a ref. How is it unsanctioned?
Okay, well, this is a gimmick that, and I only know this because I follow Dave Meltzer on Twitter.
Okay.
This dates back to like the 60s, and like I don't remember what the territory was, but back then, like they would have a gimmick all the time where it would be essentially what they did here is the show is over now. This is all of your regularly scheduled matches.
This was like a bonus.
Now the lights go out and they're going to come back on, and this is going to be an unsanctioned match.
Basically, an untelevised bonus match for just the live audience.
Yeah, except it was televised.
Well, yeah, in this case, yeah.
Yeah, so that's essentially the gimmick there.
Okay. Well, that I get. I can understand that if they do that stuff like after off air and post it online. I think that'd be cool. But obviously, you couldn't do something like this every week.
Yeah, I didn't think they needed to call it a lights out. Like they could have just called it an unsanctioned match, and everyone.
You can't even call it that when you got a ref counting 3.
Yeah,
an
but
unsanctioned match means there's no ref. A ref makes it.
Well, no, I disagree with that because, well, at least in WWE, the unsanctioned, like the whole thing is an unsanctioned match. You have the two guys sign a hold harmless agreement sort of thing, and that it's not a regular match, and the company won't be held liable and all that. And the referee is only there to count to 3, and that's all he's there for.
Okay.
So I'll give them that much. Now, getting into the spots in this match, and I did note most of them. We had a Swanton Bomb from Joey Janela onto a seated ladder that Jon Moxley moved out of the way of, which looked like it sucked.
Yeah.
After that, we have 2 different barbed wire
What are they, like
mats.
plywood?
Yeah, just some thin boards.
Like something like subfloor board with barbed wire on them.
There was a barbed wire steel chair.
Which was cool. I wish it got used.
It did a little bit.
Well, not the way I was thinking. Like picking up and slamming on their back,
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
It was more like they just stomped it onto... Moxley just stomped it onto him. There were 3 different table spots, including an elbow off of a ladder from Janela.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was Jon Moxley doing he did another AA in this match because he set the barbed wire board thing in between the guardrail and the apron, and then AA'd Janela through it.
Which I don't care. It looked painful.
Yeah.
I mean, and here's the weird part. Moxley said that he wasn't going to wear jeans anymore because he liked wearing the tights because he was able to move more.
Yeah.
And then he comes out wearing jeans.
Were those jeans?
Yeah.
Okay. Because in his New Japan matches, he wore regular tights.
Yeah, and that's what he said he liked doing because it didn't restrict him as much, moving.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to wear jeans, but that's what WWE wanted.
For me, I thought he looked weird in just regular tights.
He's the type that looks like he needs to wear jeans.
Yeah.
It'd be like John Cena wearing tights. It wouldn't look right.
Yeah.
And he has to wear jean shorts. Or jean capris, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, really.
But I mean, it's the same thing to me. I mean, it might just be because I'm used to seeing them in pants.
Yeah, you could do long tights.
But yeah, you could do long tights that look like jeans.
Yeah.
Have them airbrushed.
Yeah, right.
Or something. But I mean, it was just weird. I just read an article just a week or so ago that he wasn't going to do jeans anymore because it restricted his movement. And then he comes out wearing jeans.
Yeah.
Or jean tight pants.
They weren't blue, though, at
least. No, they weren't blue. They were black.
Yeah. So after that is when Moxley pulls out the tacks. And
I don't know how these people do it.
So he pulls out these tacks, and he takes both of Joey Janela's boots off and both of his socks off. Yeah. And you could see where this was going.
Oh, well, you knew where it was going as soon as he started taking the boots off.
Yeah. So he essentially does an atomic drop and just drops Janela on his feet onto the tacks.
Yeah.
Which,
pain.
And then after that, he throws him back into the tacks. And then he gets more tacks.
Another bag. And there had been, 1,000 in each bag?
Yeah.
There was a shit ton.
Crazy. And on the next one, he does an elevated DDT. Essentially the Dirty Deeds.
Yeah.
They called it the Paradigm Shift.
Yeah, new name, same move.
Yeah. Which, that's one of the things he said in his first promo after the Double or Nothing show, is that, him showing up was the Paradigm Shift. So, that's cool. I mean, it's a cool name.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm fine with that. Yeah. And so he DDTs this man, elevates him on the tacks, and in the process, he takes his own tacks.
He lays on them himself.
And the best visual from this was that after he lands this, he sits up and spits out a tack.
Oh, I missed that.
Oh, you have to go back and watch that.
I'll look that up on YouTube later.
It was awesome that he spit out a tack.
Okay.
I mean, that, as dangerous as that seems.
Yeah. Okay.
What I will say, and this is such a... I almost feel like an asshole for saying this. That
Asshole.
Janela going into these tacks, like, it wasn't as visually satisfying as a normal tack bump is.
No, it wasn't.
And I think the main reason for it is because, like, when he took, like, the big bump, like, not the one where he went in feet first, but, like, the back bump, like, he took it more on the side.
Yeah.
So the tacks were more there and not as visible.
Mm-hmm.
And they were more, like, along his arm. Like, if you think of, like, the good tack bumps, like, even, like, the one Jericho did just a few years ago in a match with Dean Ambrose.
Where every week after that, he had a different number of tacks in his back. It was I had 74 and I had 68. And
it actually was consistent because after the first show, he said it was 68. But then the next day, he found one more on his ass, so he put it up to 69.
Oh, okay.
So
I thought he was just throwing numbers out there to, make it seem good.
No, and at least according to Jericho, that was a shoot number.
Okay.
So I'll give him that. They counted the thumbtacks as they took them
count
out.
that and be like, 1.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah, but the problem with it was, like, when you take, and this, again, like, I'm never going to ever take a bump into tacks in my life, so I feel like
that you know of.
I feel
that
like
a special that we're going to do on the show.
that might be something we do for the loser of a pay-per-view
I'll do
prediction.
a back suplex or a side suplex onto some tacks. Not the flat ones either. You're going to have the big push pin ones, the big plastic tip ones.
So I feel like a douche for criticizing this, but because like with those bumps and like I think of like the Randy Orton one too and the Mick Foley match, and all of those, like you take it right on the back, and then you get the sit up and you get the visual of all of these brigade of tacks, and the slow trickle of blood comes in from each little spot. And that's sort of like that visual is what I feel like you're looking for in that.
Yeah, and that just wasn't there.
Yeah, and I felt like I felt like the visual was better on like the feet.
Yeah,
like because that you could see it better.
Okay, I'll give you that one.
Yeah, I don't know that's so
kind of nitpicky, but I give it to you.
But I don't know. That's just something. Either way. After this, Moxley gets the pin, and Omega comes out and destroys Moxley afterwards, beats him hither and yonder for Moxley attacking him at the Double or Nothing show, gets his revenge. Simple story going into their match at All Out.
Yeah.
But it's building, and
which makes you wonder what's going to happen in a couple weeks. Are they going to do something to build it more?
I don't remember if they have matches yet.
Well, I mean, not necessarily against each other, but just, attacking one another backstage or something like that.
I'm not sure what they're doing with them on the next show. I haven't even looked at it.
They may not have to do anything with them. They just have to be there.
Yeah.
That's really all it would take.
But that was the closing angle of the show, is Omega just beating the piss out of Moxley. And then the closing visual was Moxley laughing, I guess, sort of. I'm not sure if he was laughing or if it was just like a sort of sadistic sort of
the refs
smile.
Out the way, it kind of threw me for a loop for a minute. Because, he shoved both refs off of him that were helping him up the ramp after Omega attacked him. And then he pushes him off, and then like 5 seconds, 10 seconds later, here comes Omega again with a garbage can.
Yeah, that's right.
Did he push the refs too early? That's what I thought. Maybe he pushed them out of the way too early before Omega was ready to come out.
Maybe, or it could have just been like the story they're saying is that he doesn't want help getting.
No, I get that, but I don't know. It just seemed like he pushed him a little hard just to not want him there.
Yeah, maybe.
I thought maybe he was trying to push him out of the way because he knows what's coming. Obviously, they do too.
Yeah, that could be.
But watching the show, I had an idea.
All right.
That I think WWE, AEW, all of them should do. Nobody knows who the winner is going to be. They should not practice a match. They should call it in the ring all the time. And the winners should be known when the referee lets them know who's going to win, because, they all have earpieces. They're all talking to the back. I think they should not know who's going to win, because that could make for a better match.
I agree and disagree. What I think it should be is that you have a finish and maybe a few bullet points, and then from there, it's call it in the ring.
So pretty much everything's called in the match, but you know who's going to win.
Yeah, I feel like if you don't know what the finish is, then you really can't effectively build to what the finish is.
Well, you couldn't do this with newbies, but some of the seasoned professionals, they all have their own finishing set of moves.
Yeah.
Like Cena, shoulder tackle, 5-finger death punch. And then
okay.
Everyone has their own finishing set. So all you have to go is say, okay, Cena, you're winning this match. Okay, so they know what set to use.
Yeah.
And then you call the rest of the match until the ref says it's time for the set, for the finishing set.
Yeah, I think the problem with that, though, is, in a storytelling, aspect, you kind of want to work backwards. You want to know what you're heading to be able to properly build to it.
Yeah, and I get that. It was just an idea that popped in my head watching this show.
Yeah, it would make it more spontaneous.
It'd make it more realistic, because we all know wrestling's scripted. We all know they know who's going to win way before the bell rings. And to me, I think that sometimes, I'm not going to say it ruins the product, but it kind of shows, I think, sometimes.
I think a lot of it can be put down to the micromanaging that, at least in WWE in some cases.
And that's mainly what I'm talking about, because AEW hasn't been around long enough.
That every match has an agent.
Yeah.
And in some cases, multiple agents. And you're putting the whole match together, as opposed to the the old days was you had a finish.
Mm-hmm.
And that varies in some cases. Randy Savage is known for he was one that wanted to map out everything that they're going to do, because he didn't want any surprises.
Yeah.
And that's partly because Randy was a very paranoid person.
Yes.
In a whole.
Yeah, and if you don't know what we mean by that, do some research, watch some videos.
Yeah. But a lot, Ric Flair matches, he was more call it in the ring.
Yeah, off the cuff type of thing.
And really all you need is, all right, this is what the finish is, and everything else will...
Well, that's why they wanted the wrestlers to have long hair back in the day. Because that way they could call the matches in the ring and you wouldn't see them talking.
Yeah.
And that way, you could have them in a chin lock, and then your hair's draped down the side, and you can't see your mouth, so you can sit there and converse.
Yeah, but now the ring, everything is so mic'd.
Yeah, there's mics everywhere.
Becky Lynch has long hair, and I hear her call every damn spot.
Yeah. But if you notice, the women have never been able to call it quietly. Compared to the men in history.
The men not named John Cena.
Okay. Yeah. But, it was a good match. It was just an idea, just, hey, don't even practice, don't have anything outlined, just, you've got your finishing move set, your opponent has his, the ref will tell you when it's time, other than that, you call it in the ring.
Yeah.
I think
I can get that.
I see what you're saying, too. You kind of need to know what you're doing to tell the story.
Yeah.
Which, okay, bullet points is fine. But I think you can tell the story without knowing who's going to win right away.
Yeah, you can. It just depends on the circumstance, I think.
It depends on the superstars, too, on how good they are.
It's such a different thing, though. There's no guidance to it, because it hasn't been done. So you can't get oh, well, this guy has experience not knowing who's going to win.
Yeah.
So
no, it just be something. I don't know. I'd like to try. I'd like to see a pay-per-view of WWE, AEW, either one. Just the whole pay-per-view is just shot. Just called in the ring.
Yeah.
Just to see how it goes. It may go like crap, then he wouldn't do it anymore. It may go great, and you want to do more of it.
Yeah.
It seems like if you're watching some of them, especially WWE, I've noticed, you know who's going to win. They know who's going to win, and it almost shows in the performance.
Right.
Because they know they're not going to win, so why give everything they got?
I think what you're talking about, too, is what you'd see more at, like, the house shows. Because it's such a loose environment that they just go out there and...
And that would be a good way to try it.
Yeah.
Definitely a good way to try it and see how it goes for a while. And if it goes good, then you bring it onto TV.
Yeah.
But I think it'd be worth trying.
I don't remember where I've heard it from, but I know that some booker, like, what they used to do was that they would have the match card set up. And I think they would do this for, like, house shows. And they would have the card set up. And, everyone would see what match they're in, and they'd put the match together. And then in 2 matches, like, right before they're about to go out, they switched 2 names. So now it's a completely different match, and you have to call it all in the ring. Okay. And that's...
Pretty much, yeah.
So... I don't know how it would work in theory. But
I don't know. I think it'd be worth trying, at least to have shows to see how it goes. And you couldn't do it with everybody. There's only a handful of select people that are good at calling a match in the ring.
Yeah, especially now.
Yeah, so it's not like it would be in every match or in every wrestler thing. It'd just be like, we're going to do a show just for these people because this is what they can do.
Yeah.
If you had the skills to do it, you'd be in it. Unfortunately, you don't. I don't know, just something to try. What's the worst that's going to happen? They don't do it?
Yeah, I don't know. Either way. That was our Fyter Fest review.
It wasn't horrible.
It was a good show.
It was far from horrible. I'd give it a solid B+.
I would agree with that.
Not quite an A, but not quite a steady B. B+.
Yeah, and it was just... solid work. There was some criticisms to be made, and
there wasn't a lot of. There were only 4 matches, 5 matches.
No, there were more than that.
Was
there? There was more like
not counting pre-show.
Oh, not
just on the main.
Okay,
show.
Well, there were 3 matches on the pre-show, and I think there were like 8 or 9 altogether. So there was probably 5 or 6 on the main show.
But in 2.5 hours, 5 or 6 matches.
Yeah.
If you did that in WWE, that'd be 2 matches.
Yeah, that's
maybe 3.
That's sort of the NXT takeover sort of philosophy.
I enjoyed how being a B-rate show, it wasn't 4 hours.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot, and that might be why it was free.
Right.
But I did enjoy not sitting there for 4 hours watching 3.5 hours of video segments.
Yeah. All in all, I would say it keeps the momentum going for AEW.
Yeah.
We're not quite on the high that Double or Nothing left us on, but I feel like we'll get right back there by the time we get to All Out.
I just don't think it's going to be possible to get to that point. At least not yet. Maybe in August when All In, All Out, whatever the hell it is this time. Whenever it comes around, maybe. But I think last month it was just because it was new and everything was new.
Yeah.
It made such a bigger impact on at least me. I'm not sure about you.
No, I totally agree.
It just seemed like it was the world's greatest thing since wrestling sliced bread.
Yeah. I think when we look back on it might be sort of like how you'd look back on the first WrestleMania.
Yeah. Ooh, shiny new toy.
Yeah, because that was the history of that was Vince went out on a limb and spent a shit ton of money to try to turn this into a mainstream thing.
And look what happened 35 years later.
Yeah. Not exactly the same circumstances for Double or Nothing, but
still kind of the same aspect.
Yeah.
So, I don't think next month, and we got another show in 2 weeks. I think it's gonna be a lot like what we just saw.
Yeah, and that will be a Fight for the Fallen. It's a charity show, essentially, because the proceeds are going to families of gun violence victims
Okay.
in the Jacksonville area.
Okay, that's cool.
So,
Is that where they're going to be at?
yeah,
Okay.
that'll be
That
the
would make
Jacksonville
sense.
show.
Okay. No, that's cool. I mean, I'm for that. A free show with proceeds going, all the proceeds going to them. That's cool.
Yeah, and if you noticed, WWE on the same day of I think it's the same day as the Fight for the Fallen show. It might be All Out, but they're streaming for the first time Evolve on WWE Network. And for a long time, WWE has had a working relationship with the indie promotion Evolve.
Yeah.
But this is the first time they've had them on the network. And it will be to directly compete, quote unquote,
Oh my God.
with this show.
AEW's going to bury him.
Yeah, I mean, it's a different thing because it's just on their network.
Well, then that's true. It's just on their network, and a lot of people don't want their network because I'm not going to say it's worthless.
And I disagree with that.
Well, I said it's not worthless. I'm not saying it's worthless.
Okay, well, what I'm saying is it's on demand.
Yeah.
And that's the difference with today is that you don't have to watch one or the other. Everything is on demand.
And downloadable in some form, whether it be YouTube or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, though, I'm excited. I'm still anxious to see what the future holds for AEW.
Yeah,
I'm not too concerned about the next pay-per-view because I think it'll be about what this one was.
Yeah.
August in Chicago, I think, will be
That'll be the big show,
That'll be
and
the
then
big one.
we will be oh so close to October.
And that might be the last one until TV. They may not do one in September.
They don't have any announced, so I'm assuming they're not going to.
And I think that would be the best thing, is go out in August, have a great show.
Yeah, leave you wanting more.
Leave you wanting more, and then all of a sudden, middle of October, whenever it starts, boom, we're on TV. And we can start building storylines for the next pay-per-view, which I would put towards the end of August, or the end of October.
Right. That might be a bit too soon if they're just they don't have a date yet for the TV debut.
I thought they did. I thought it was like the October, I want to say 13th, but I'm not sure.
I don't think anything's official.
No, okay. Maybe it wasn't official. Maybe that's what they were guessing or hoping.
Yeah, it's been assumed that it'll be at some point in October, for the longest.
Yeah.
But I don't think they've officially made that announcement yet.
I just know it's October.
Yeah.
For sure. So I know TNT, or not TNT, but I know Fox it said October 9th for SmackDown.
Yeah.
And it was right around that time for AEW. So it was perfect time to start competing in ratings.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it, okay, maybe not October. I didn't mean October. I meant the end of November for the first pay-per-view.
Yeah.
That gives you time to build up, and gives you 6 weeks roughly to build up a storyline for everybody. Title matches, everything else.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm anxious.
Yep, and we will continue to cover each of these AEW shows leading up until we get to the TV debut.
Yeah,
and
we might even do a WWE show somewhere in there.
Yeah,
maybe.
I'm not going to commit to anything. I will. The only thing I'm going to promise is that every AEW show will be reviewed.
That we can promise.
Everything else will be icing.
That will be determined on how much we enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to suck like Stomping Ground, there's no point in doing one. I know you did one.
And I liked Stomping Grounds.
You did?
Yeah. I
mean, it wasn't horrible.
I actually thought it was 2/3 of a really good show.
Okay.
That was my consensus review.
Is it like 2/3 of Best in the World?
Yeah. After, everything from Drew versus Roman on was bad to awful.
Okay. But it was the first pay-per-view in how many months without Shane McMahon in a match?
And he still was in the match.
I mean, I know he got involved in the match, but he wasn't on the card. What's it been all year?
But
has he even gone a month without a pay-per-view till then?
No, I don't think so.
Because the first 2 months we're going after with
The tag
the
titles.
Miz tag titles, and then against Miz.
Yeah.
That went for like 3 months.
Yeah.
And then WrestleMania, and then wow, it's about damn time we had one without him, and he's still there.
And now the Extreme Rules show, which I don't know, is that a week from Sunday or 2?
I'm not sure.
I don't even know.
I don't even know what it is. How sad is that?
Yeah, but the panic button was pushed. The like you know that meme where like it has like the hand pushing the button and you put like the caption on it. Like Vince's button is just like ratings are low, attendance is low, and his button just says Undertaker smack.
It makes you wonder if he hits that button, there's a big light shine in the sky with a tombstone. You know, kind of like the bat signal, but a tombstone. Because now all of a sudden, and I just
fork out all the money you have to me, Vince, and I will continue to wrestle.
Yeah, and I just read he's going to be televised more going forward. I don't know if that's going to be just until the pay-per-view or what, but I've heard he's going to be on TV more. Didn't say he was going to wrestle.
Yeah.
Just that he's going to be on TV. Well, that doesn't say much because Aleister Black's been on TV every week and he hasn't been in the ring for months.
Yeah. Do you want to briefly touch on, just before we go, to just have some extra filling time, that the news of Eric Bischoff and Paul Heyman?
Really, there's not much news. Just, Heyman will be the executive producer.
Yeah, the head exec. Essentially, Heyman is on Raw, Bischoff is on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And essentially, they're above everyone except Vince.
They're basically the head.
So they're
in charge.
Yeah, they're directly communicating with Vince.
What I want to know is, how is that... Now, what I read, Triple H is no longer involved in either show. He's going to be head of NXT only.
Yeah.
As of right now.
And I was surprised that Triple H was not given one of those roles. And there was... there's conflicting reports that... I believe Brad Shepard reported that he turned down the job.
That's what I read.
But since then, other people have said that that was not true. So
okay, well,
it depends on who you believe. So it could be either or.
The one I read said he turned it down because he would have to do that on top of the NXT. And it would be too much.
And he's still running 205 Live, if I understand correctly.
I read 205 Live might be getting canceled.
Yeah, that was also a Brad Shepard report that they're going to look to end that at some point.
Which they really
year.
need to. Nobody probably watches it anyway.
Yeah, it's a dead brand.
Yeah, so is their title. Like the women's tag titles.
Yeah. R.I.P. But, I wanted to get your thoughts, though, because you're the WCW guy from that era that Eric Bischoff was in charge. What do you think that, and it's still, there's still the Vince barrier there and that he has to sign off on everything.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of what Paul Heyman books, and not just from the original ECW, but you can look back to the early 2000s SmackDown, the SmackDown 6 era, that was Paul Heyman. So I know a lot about what he's about, but what do you think about Bischoff and the SmackDown pairing?
I mean, going back to the days of WCW, I actually enjoyed Bischoff being in charge. Until it got to the point where the NWO was the only thing you saw.
Yeah.
Where they tried to take over every segment, every match. That's when I quit watching them.
And that would be what, going into 99, 2000?
The last couple years of WCW. Okay. Before that, though, I love the bookings. I love the matches that were made. Even though he was in charge, he was still on commentary.
Yeah.
He didn't push the fact that he was in charge.
Right.
Which kind of like Vince did.
Yeah, Vince did at that time.
They didn't stress the fact that he was in charge, but he was on commentary.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of good matches with Bischoff in charge. It was just a lot of people got so much creative freedom in their contracts and guaranteed money in their contracts that they just didn't care.
Yeah.
And once it's in the contract, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
So I think
that's part of the double-edged sword is that they offered so much to be able to get these guys onto their program.
Like Hall and Nash, especially Nash.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the most infamous one that had guaranteed money and he just wouldn't show up because he was getting paid.
Yeah.
I don't know. Obviously, I didn't like that. But Bischoff himself, he's a great heel character. You know, like in storyline.
Yeah, and I hope they don't use him on TV. I hope it's just...
they're not supposed to.
But that can always change.
Yeah,
they can always just decide, well...
As of right now, they're not supposed to use either one of them in a storyline.
Yeah.
But, I mean...
It'll be difficult with Heyman because he's still with Lesnar on screen.
Yeah, well, on screen is one thing, but he won't be used as an executive producer on air.
Yeah.
Now, Bischoff, you know, he had his run as Raw GM.
Right.
And got fired. And thrown into a garbage truck.
Yeah.
I think it was a garbage truck, if I remember right. But, again, that's all storyline.
Yeah, he would...
If you look...
This is the first, to my knowledge, this is the first time Eric Bischoff has ever been in any sort of booking position.
Like a behind-the-scenes type thing.
Yeah, in WWE.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And the only way to know what it was like, go to, you know, like the 95 to 98 era of WCW.
Yeah.
Look at that. You got the network, I know. You can look at just a few of the matches and just see how they were booked and put together. And that's Bischoff's doing.
Yeah.
A lot better than like Vince Russo could do.
Yeah, and I don't think, like, one of the things I don't think people think about with Bischoff is that the spot he was in, that was such a difficult position to be in because, he was essentially managing and talking with people that didn't know wrestling a lot. And
like Ted Turner.
Yeah. And so, he's trying to fight for things, and, you know, someone who doesn't understand wrestling would just looks at the numbers.
Yeah.
And they're just going to go solely based on that.
And you really can't do that.
Yeah.
Not with wrestling.
Yeah, definitely not.
But, it's definitely worth checking out if you don't know or you haven't. Check out some of the mid-90s WCW matches. That'll give you a really good look on what... If he's given free reign like he was then, it'll give you a good look at how matches could be on SmackDown.
Yeah.
And it would be greatly appreciated.
I think what Eric could hopefully bring, and Paul Heyman, I think, brings the same thing, is just they both... the focus on, and you can correct me if you think that I'm wrong, is that it was a story-driven show. WCW at that time was storylines.
A lot of it, yeah.
And engaging stuff.
Yeah, very much so.
And Paul Heyman, I think, is very much the same.
Well, it was what, around the 98 mark where WCW took over as leader in the ratings?
I think it might have been before that.
Or before that?
It was for 83 weeks, I know that much.
Yeah, it was over a year, I know.
Yeah.
But, look at that period and compare matches between WWE and WCW.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just it's an odd situation though that this I would describe this as a panic move because WWE is starting to feel the pressure of AEW being the cool thing right now, and that it's what all of the wrestling fans like.
Now, isn't Bischoff in the Hall of Fame?
I believe he is.
Could he actually go work for AEW if you're in the Hall of Fame?
Well, Bret Hart had an appearance.
Oh, that's true. Had an appearance.
Yeah.
But didn't work for him.
He did not work for them.
I'm just talking about, could you actually sign a contract with AEW if you have a Hall of Fame, if you're in the Hall of Fame?
I guess it depends. But I don't think there would be anything prohibiting him from it because
it probably wouldn't look good.
The whole Legends contracts that WWE do, it's just like they do one-off appearances every now and then.
You're an ambassador.
It seems more like a case-by-case thing and not like you're under contracts.
Yeah, just curiosity, that's all.
Yeah. And that was one of the big rumors, too, was that people thought that Eric Bischoff might end up in AEW.
And he might have if Vince didn't sign him.
Yeah, and
if he did, I think that would have been 10 giant steps up for AEW.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, I'm trying to determine if, like, I don't imagine that Paul Heyman or Eric Bischoff would take either of these jobs for money, just the money. I would assume that
Bischoff, no.
I would assume at least that they think that they at least think that they're going to be able to have their fingerprints on their own shows.
Yeah. And they both have the expertise to put on a great show. But
at the same time, if you look at the panic moves Vince has made in signing just the wrestlers to long, multi-year, $100,000s contracts, like, I wouldn't doubt that Vince would go to both of those guys and say, here's a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And give them so much that you feel like you have no choice but to accept it.
And that could be, I mean, I know Bischoff and Vince obviously they've all worked together before, all three of them. But I think this was Vince's way to keep Bischoff away from the competition. Because he knows what Bischoff can offer in the terms of bookings and running the show. So,
at the same time, like, I don't get the feeling that, at least from my perspective, like, if Eric Bischoff signed with AEW and some sort of creative role, like, I don't get how that would be, like, a death blow to WWE, like, or even something to really worry about that much to me. Like, I don't know, just like Vince thinking, like, dear God, we can't let Eric Bischoff go to AEW.
Well, I mean, but Bischoff has so many good ideas and has before, and can't do them because of Vince.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen behind the scenes interviews with him and stuff like that, and not just WWE interviews, but just other stuff to where he's had other ideas and Vince would say no. And these ideas, to me, were great. Were something that I think would get over with the crowd, get over with everybody at home. But because Vince doesn't like it, Vince says no.
Mm-hmm.
If he went to AEW, a show that's for wrestlers by wrestlers, in a way,
yeah.
I mean, I think he would get over a lot better there, and it would just take that company so far skyrocketing.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Just my personal opinion.
I don't feel like Bischoff really blends with what AEW is trying to do, though. Like, if he was in the creative process with, like, Cody, the Bucks, Kenny, I feel like he would be like one of these things isn't like the other.
But that's not always a bad thing.
No, and
especially when you've got a whole show run by wrestlers, you need somebody who isn't a wrestler.
I think if Eric was going to go to AEW, like, I feel like the role for him would have been like advisor.
Yeah, like advisor to Cody or something like that.
Yeah, and just like, and that's not a bad thing to have. To just like, if you need, like, if Cody and everyone else that they're in their creative WhatsApp texts, and they're split on something, and they want to get a deferring opinion from someone like Bischoff that's more old school than they are. Like, it's just a different perspective, at least.
I don't know. I mean, it could go either way. I think it would depend on how much freedom they gave him.
Yeah.
And what role he actually played in the company. If he was just an advisor, no, nothing would change. If they actually gave him freedom to book some matches of his type, then I think things might go up a little bit for him. But I don't think it's going to hurt him.
I will say, if Eric Bischoff was working for AEW in that capacity, I don't think the Michael Nakazawa match would have happened.
No.
I certainly hope not.
I would hope not, because if it did, then, I mean, I'd have to look downly on Bischoff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm going to be curious to see how it goes.
That can be part of the problem, too, and I didn't really mention this with the Nakazawa stuff, is that so many of these guys, for Cody and the Bucks, like, they're friends.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to get their friends jobs and get their people they like in roles, and like in a Vince perspective, he's not really friends with anyone, and you're just thinking purely on
money,
TV, and money, and all that. So
yeah, if you don't care,
there has to be a certain balance between those two.
Yeah, if you care only about money like Vince, then your show is going to suck because it's going to show that all you care about is money, people getting in the seats and spending money on your crap, which is what's happening right now.
Yeah.
Or if you worry about the show and what kind of show you're putting on for the fans, like AEW, you'll have a great show and not worry about the money because the money will come after you put on a good show.
Yeah, and that's part of this is that it's and that's what Tony Khan has said is that this is an investment, and in his eyes, he thinks that by the second year is when they will be in his business plan they will be profitable in the second year.
Okay.
That the first year is just the initial investments.
Well, in a way, I see that because think about it. There's no TV for the first 6 months of the first year.
Yeah, so you're getting no...
You're really getting no advertisement, no pushing of any kind except online.
Yeah.
So I could agree with that. I mean, I hope it works for them.
Yep. All right. Well, that was our random bullshittery at the end, and it pushed us over 2 hours. So there you go. Remember when we used to be trying to get it into under 3 hours?
Yeah, now we're struggling to get it to 2. I still think we should try and get it down to like an hour, hour and 15, something like that.
Well, the review portion was over at like an hour and 45.
Yeah. Yeah, the rest of it was just our bullshit.
Anybody who didn't care about this could have just clicked off at the end, so that's fine.
Not a big deal.
All right. Well, Fight for the Fallen, 2 weeks. We'll be covering that.
Yep.
We'll see what we do in between there. I don't know if Extreme Rules is after or before that, but I'll try to, if nothing else,
Wouldn't that suck if it was the same weekend? Like one's on Saturday, one's on Sunday.
Yeah. If nothing else, I'll try to do a YouTube review for the Extreme Rules show.
Just do a quick one.
Yeah.
You did last time.
And maybe we'll do predictions for Extreme Rules. I don't know. Either way.
Maybe we should do predictions for not next month's AEW.
The All Out show.
All Out in August.
Yeah, we can do that.
Once we get a final card, maybe we should do a little show, just a prediction show.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Something small, just to throw out there in between the two shows.
Yeah. But until next time,
we will wrestle you later.